Hey my glam girls, welcome back to my channel. It's Chelsea, where we talk about all things glam and all things girly. I'm excited to be doing a foundation comparison for you all. We are going to be talking about two Shiseido foundations. We have the Synchro Skin Radiant Lifting Foundation, and we also have the Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Foundation. So I figured, let's put these two on the skin, see how they both compare, and see which one would be a better fit for you. So I will be doing a full day wear test on both of these foundations. We'll be doing some flash photography to see if there's any flashback with either of these foundations. I have done a full review of both of these foundations, so I will link them for you if you would like to go and look at those as a reference. And that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, definitely do so, and let's get into this video. So just to give you a little bit of quick details about these products, I'm not going to go so deep into the details of the products because I have already done full reviews of them, but both of them retail for $47. Both of them have an SPF of 30. Both of them are oil-free, and the major differences that I've noticed between the two off the bat is that the Radiant Lifting Foundation is going to be a little bit more luminous on the skin, and also the shade is deeper than the shade of the Self-Refreshing Foundation. Both of these shades are in the shade 420, but the Self-Refreshing tends to look a little lighter on the skin compared to the Radiant Lifting Foundation. So I'm going to start with the Radiant Lifting Foundation, and I am going to take my BK Beauty 101 brush and pick up the product, and we're going to blend it into the skin. So the Radiant Lifting Foundation claims to be medium to full coverage that is buildable. It's going to have a radiant finish. It has 24-hour hydration. It comes in 30 shades, and it's supposed to be water resistant, transfer resistant, crease, smudge resistant as well, non-comedogenic, and dermatologist tested. It has light adjusting technology that will adjust 3 major obstacles for most people when they want to have radiance: fine lines and wrinkles, uneven skin tone, and loss of hydration. So here is the Radiant Lifting Foundation blended into the skin. I really do like the radiance that comes from this particular foundation. However, I do wish that the tone of the foundation wasn't as warm, because I do feel like it is slightly warmer than my neck. But I really do like how when it initially is applied to the skin, it blends out really nicely and smoothly. Now going in with the Self-Refreshing Foundation. Wiped off my BK Beauty 101 brush because I want to use the same brush for consistency. Now going in with the product. This foundation has a self-refreshing, non-stop active force technology that's going to be a long-wearing formula, and it's going to help the skin to resist heat, humidity, oil, and facial movement to maintain a just applied, flawless finish that lasts 24 hours. It's going to be weightless, breathable, blendable, and buildable. This formulation is oil-free. It's going to also be waterproof and smudge-proof, and it's going to be dermatologist tested, non-comedogenic, fragrance-free, and for all skin types. So here is the Self-Refreshing Foundation on my skin, and now we've got both products on the face. So just taking a look at both of these foundations on the face with the Radiant Lifting and the Self-Refreshing Foundation, the Radiant Lifting I think is just slightly more radiant, slightly more luminous than the Synchro Skin. I think, like I said, color-wise, I think the Radiant Lifting pulls just slightly warmer than the Self-Refreshing. I think the Self-Refreshing is pulling slightly more yellow, and the Radiant Lifting is pulling maybe a little bit more golden, just looking at the two on the face. Both of them blend in really beautifully on the skin. Both of them look really beautiful on the skin just off of initial application. When I initially reviewed the Radiant Lifting Foundation, I really enjoyed it initially, but as the day went on, there was something else about the foundation I really didn't enjoy. Whereas with the Radiant Self-Refreshing Foundation, I love the way this sits on the skin. I love the way that it wears throughout the day. And so off of initial comparison, I chose the Self-Refreshing over the Radiant Lifting. But I definitely am like, you know, sometimes first impressions are exactly that, first impressions, but you got to learn the product. So today we're kind of starting over. I'm giving the Radiant Lifting a fair chance. I'm not passing any judgment. Off of initial application, they both look beautiful. So let's do some flash photography to see if there is any flashback, because they both do have an SPF of 30. So as you can see, there's only just a tiny bit of flashback, and it's really only concentrated in the T-zone area of my face. And so you could be okay if you are taking flash photography and you want to wear either of these foundations, but I tend to steer clear of just wearing foundations with SPF when I know I'm going to have some flash photography. However, you might be okay with these foundations because the flashback wasn't too obvious, and it definitely did not make my face look ghostly. So in general, these foundations pass the flashback test with an asterisk. So I'm going to put on the rest of my makeup and then come back and show you what everything looks like on the face. And then of course I will wear this foundation for at least 8 hours and come back at the end of the day to share with you my final thoughts. Okay, we are back for a check-in. I have all of my makeup on my face, and I will definitely leave everything that I'm wearing on my face down in the description box below. If you are interested as to the eye look that I created, I did upload a tutorial of this eye look on Instagram. My Instagram handle is GlamGirlChelsea, and I use the Metropolis palette, so you can take a look at that tutorial there. But let's talk about this skin. So remember, we have the Radiant Lifting Foundation on this side of the face, and we also have the Self-Refreshing on this side of the face. And honestly, I think both sides look good. I think both sides look really smooth. Both sides look a little more similar in terms of color and tone. I did lightly set my face with the Fenty Beauty powder foundation, lightly set my face because I didn't want to take away too much from both of the foundations. I do think it helped to tone down the warmth on this side of the face to make both sides look a little bit more even in terms of what they look like on the face. I feel like now, I'm looking at my mirror that's behind the camera, I feel like now it looks like I have one foundation versus two. In terms of my pores and the blurring effect of the foundation, I feel like I see less of my pores on the Radiant Lifting side versus the Self-Refreshing side, which is really interesting because a lot of times with Radiant foundations or Luminous foundations, they don't have the best blurring effect like our more mattifying foundations, but this side is definitely looking a little more smoother and a little more blurred than the Self-Refreshing side of my face. I do have a little bit of creasing in my smile line right here, as you can see that, but I don't want to hold too much judgment on that so much because I don't have as deep of crease lines on this side of my face as this side of my face. When I did the Radiant Lifting Foundation all over my face, I did have like the tiniest bit of creasing. So I wanted to point that out. We'll obviously still monitor that for the end of the day check-in, but I do know that the Radiant Lifting Foundation did crease a tiny bit as well when I did wear it all over the face. I think I forgot to mention, I've had this foundation on for 4 hours so far. So I'm gonna go about my day and then I will check back in with you all at the end of the day to share with you my final thoughts. So stay tuned. Okay, we are back. It is the end of the day. Let's see how both of these foundations are looking. So taking a look at my skin, I am really shocked. I'm really shocked because I don't know what it is. Maybe it was the primer or maybe it was the concealer powder. I don't know. But this Radiant Lifting Foundation is looking really nice on the skin, as well as the Self-Refreshing Foundation. I've had the Self-Refreshing Foundation for almost 1.5 years, and I loved it from first try. So I knew I was gonna like the Self-Refreshing, but the Radiant Lifting, I don't know, it just didn't gel with me that first time I used it. But it really looks nice, and I would still agree with what I said earlier. I think just right here along my pores, the Radiant Lifting side just looks a little more smooth and a little more flawless than the Self-Refreshing side. I actually didn't use like an official primer today. I just put on my physical SPF and that was it. So I have no additional primer that would you know, blur one side over the other. It's just my skin underneath the foundation. In terms of my smile line here, I don't think it has really worsened over the day, and that's nothing new. Like I said before, the radiant lifting did settle just very finely into my smile line, but it wasn't anything that exaggerated throughout the day. So I think in terms of smile line, it passed the test, at least for me. I would say it will probably pass the test for you. Of course, everybody's skin is different, but these foundations look beautiful, and I think honestly you really can't go wrong with either. I would say if you had oily skin, probably reach for the Synchro Skin, just because right out the gate it's a little less radiant, a little less luminous on the skin. And if you look at my nose right along here, I feel like we have just a little bit more dewiness around this corner of the nostril versus this corner of the nostril, which is what I expected. But it's not like this side is just so much more radiant than this side. So I really think, honestly, I think both foundations would work really good for all skin types. I would say if your complexion is around my skin tone but maybe a little more warm, the radiant lifting, just from what we saw in the beginning of the video, it did come off just a little more warm than my actual complexion is. So if you're around my skin type but you are a little bit more warm, maybe the radiant lifting might be like a smidge better in undertone than the Synchro Skin, just because, you know, like we saw before, this side was a little bit more warm than this side. But as you can see, I think if you have like a really nice powder, it can balance things out. So I think both of these are a win. I recommend both of the foundations. It's always good to give some foundations a second try, because obviously this radiant lifting is really pretty, and the self-refreshing is just, I mean, she's a beauty. I can't choose a side. If I had to choose a side, I would wear both of these foundations again. I think they're beautiful. Maybe I might choose the radiant lifting a little bit more this summer after I've tanned. I would recommend both of these foundations because they have passed my standard for what I'm looking for in a foundation. Point number one, the overall finish makes my skin look healthy and alive. So even if a foundation is a little bit more matte, I'm still looking to see, does my skin and the overall look of the foundation look dull on the skin, or do we have some life? Second thing I'm always looking at is, what is the blurring effect for my pores? And even though this side is not as blurred as this side, I also feel like this side does not look horrible at all. There's no settling of the foundation into my pores, and I feel like overall this area of the face does look really nice. Very long lasting. Point number three, so I've had this foundation on for over 9 hours, both sides. I actually took a quick cat nap and I was sleeping more so on this side. You can see my pillow mark right here on my face, but you can definitely still see my blush and my highlights. So the foundation definitely held up very nicely across the face. In terms of settling in my fine lines, that is my 4 point. It barely settles in my fine lines. So I'm gonna say that both foundations are gonna work well if you do have maybe more mature skin, or you tend to just have maybe some deeper fine lines. I don't see either of these foundations really exaggerating those areas of the face. And then lastly, very important to me, because I like to know what foundation is best to use for what circumstance, there's, for the most part, no major flashback. Like I said earlier, if it was me, I wouldn't wear these foundations if I knew I was going to take flash photography. But I honestly don't think that if you were to take flash photography with these foundations on, you're going to get crazy flashback, unless like it's attributed to your concealer or your powder. So I think for the most part, both of these foundations do pass the flash photography test, but I'll put a little asterisk there. I think both of these are a winner. Definitely give me your thoughts down below and let me know what your thoughts are on either side of the face. Let me know which one you like better if you've tried both. And let me know if you're interested in the new Radiant Lifting Foundation or if you're more interested in the Self-Refreshing Foundation. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking time and spending today with me. And I definitely would love for you to join the Glam Girl Squad. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and definitely hit the notification bell so that you are informed of when I do upload my videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in my very next video. Bye, guys.